What is up, all my Diablo 4 gamers out there? Today, we're making video about tips that I wish I knew before I started playing and making my first character. Because honestly, there's quite a few things that I wish I had known. I had hopped into this game completely raw, didn't play the beta, didn't level, didn't read anything. So, here are some things that I wish I knew before I started playing. So, the very first thing that I wish I knew before I started playing is, very early on in the game, you will get a quest that takes you over here to the Stable Master in Kiovishad. And you'll wonder, hey, how do I get Horsey? I want Horsey. Like this. You want Horsey, you go faster on Horsey, right? You do not get access to a horse until, I believe it is the end of Act 3, so do not worry, just keep playing through the campaign, you will get your horse soon, your game is not bugged. The next thing that I wish I knew is make sure you're always upgrading your health potion. As you can see, I have mine for level 60, waiting to be upgraded, just to make it a point to show this off in a tip video. You get them quite often early on. I was using my weak healing potion up until level like 27 or something, and then I finally realized I can upgrade it. Again, this is super easy to miss. I know you do a quest for it, but it is what it is. Some people just don't read, and I am one of them. So, for the next thing that I wish I knew before I started playing the game, you go over here to the blacksmith. They're in pretty much any town. You can salvage your items. I would recommend salvaging over selling. And while he also repairs your gear, which is something you definitely want to make sure your gear is not broken, we want to talk about the item upgrading thing. Make sure, at the very least, you always have your main weapon upgraded. If you're using a two-hander, obviously just upgrade the two-hander. If you're using a one-hander, or double one-handers, or one-hander and offhand, upgrade them both, whatever. It's a bunch of free damage, and why not? You know, it costs basically nothing early on, and it helps out immensely. So the next thing on the list that I wish I knew before I started playing D4 is, we take a look at the skill tree here. You are pretty much expected to respec often early on. Basically, if you get a unique or legendary that drops, and it has, like, frostbolt damage, I would respec from Arclash to Frostbolt very early on, because aspects make a huge difference. Obviously, percentage damage. You just can easily refund your skill points, refund all, right-click to refund one. It hardly costs anything. And of course, we have another thing that I wish I had known. So, when you're playing Diablo... Oh, wrong button. Press P, that's the shop. When you're playing Diablo, you'll have legendaries that drop with aspects on them. You could also get aspects from dungeons, and then it gets added to your Codex of Power, so you unlock the aspects here. Point is, aspects are basically legendary affixes and make your gear legendary if you imprint them. What is imprinting? Well, you go to the occultists, and here is where you imprint aspects and the likes. You can either take it from an item in your inventory. Well, yeah, it becomes an item in your inventory when you extract it. Or you can use it from the Codex of Power, and whatever effect you pick will be applied to the piece of gear that you put up here. Imprinting an item. See here, I imprint barrage arrows, 15% chance to split into two whenever they ricochet for rogue. Imprinting is a big deal, and a tip with imprinting is imprint gear that you will be changing the least. Do not imprint your weapon, for example, because weapon is something you're going to be constantly changing. Imprint something like gloves or jewelry, things that you don't change often. Imprint those with your big imprints that you need, the aspects that you need to make your build work that you're playing, rather than put it on, like, say, your weapon, and then you'll be forced to use that weapon if it's an aspect that you don't have in your codex. It just makes things a lot easier for you going further into the game. And one more thing that I wish I had known, you go over here to the jeweler, same deal here. You can upgrade gems, obviously, no surprise. You can unsocket things, you can add sockets to items, and most importantly, you can upgrade jewelry. You can't do this at the blacksmith, you must do it at the jeweler. Surprise, surprise. It's much the same, though it's less impactful than the weapon, but still important to know that you can upgrade jewelry, so do not forget, smile. And one of the last things, but one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about is the campaign and leveling. So a lot of people are probably excited to take the game at their own pace and maybe mill around in the first zone, like Act 1. Maybe you get up to like level 30 in Act 1. And while that's all fine and good, if you're looking to be a little bit more on the nose with your progression, make sure that you are rushing the campaign. Reason being, once you finish the campaign, you're able to go back and do everything that you would have been doing before you'd finished it. Say, like, you stayed in Kiovishad and you were doing a bunch of side stuff, a bunch of Lilith altars, a bunch of side quests. Let's say you hit level 50 before you finish the campaign somehow. I mean, it's not that crazy. And then you go back and finish the campaign. Well, you're hardly getting any experience for that. And lo and behold, you have to have the campaign finished before you can go into the different world tiers, which is right over here. Let me just ride on over to the world tier statue. So if you've somehow hit level 50, you're having a grand old time, you're not going to be able to unlock other difficulties until you finish the campaign. And like I said, if you're already level 50, finishing the campaign is going to give you hardly any experience because you're already level 50, so it just kind of feels bad. Ultimately, you play how you want to play. I just figured I'd put this in here for people who may not know and get caught out with it. So instead of ending the video where I originally was going to, I got a couple more tips for you guys. You see these dungeons all around the world. I'm sure you're familiar with them if you've played the game for a little bit. Each of them give you renown for the first time you complete them, and also some of them have aspects as rewards on the completion of the dungeon. Basically, you at least want to run all the dungeons one time for the renown reward. So another way you can be a little bit more efficient is nightmare sigils. You see these nightmare sigils you get. Just try to run a dungeon that you have never done before with the sigil. That way you're knocking out two things at once. It just helps speed things up a little bit. Another tip I have for you guys is there's currently no Helltide up right now, but Helltides are basically events that cover a zone and it spawns a bunch of demons, and the demons drop aberrant cinders, and you can use the cinders to open up boxes. Basically, you want to try to do horizontal content. What I mean by horizontal content, I mean things like quests, things like Altars of Lilith, things like Whispering Tree, bounties. Because during the Helltide, essentially all you're doing is killing mobs for cinders anyways. So if you're doing something that involves killing monsters, in addition to it being a Helltide zone, again, you're just kind of double dipping on efficiency, and it can help speed up your progression. And this time I have one last tip, for real this time, the final tip of the video. Here we go. Whispering Tree, you see it, it whispers to you, sweet nothings. There will always be bounties up for dungeons. Again, it sort of goes back to the earlier tip. If it's a dungeon you haven't done, run it when it's a bounty. That way you get the Grim Favors and the first dungeon complete reward. Kind of 2-for-1 bonus. You can see there's a couple of them up. If I haven't ran these before, I would go and do them and see, like, I've never run this dungeon before, so I would run it. I'd get the aspect reward, I'd get the renown, and I'd get the Grim Favors. Just mixing things together to make it a little bit faster in your day-to-day on the grind, baby. I think that's going to do it for the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and thank you to all my YouTube members. I love each and every single one of you. Again, I'm Brother Chris. If you're new here, you're not used to the Lost Art content that I do, I'm a gaming channel. I upload gaming stuff. Hopefully you stick around. I'm going to be doing Diablo 4 and Lost Ark for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to be branching out into more things that pique my interest. So thank you guys. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, leave a comment down below letting me know any tips that you might have for other people, and subscribe if you want to see daily gaming content video related stuffers. Bye.